Hello? Is anybody there? Hello? Are we ready? Morning, good morning, good mornings. Hello, hello, hello. How are we all doing, boys and girls? Welcome in. Hope we're well. First actual reset of midnight, or at least it's kind of supposed to. Of course, for the old dun-duns, we're on our second reset, which is kind of annoying, but ready for the shitstorm? Hey, no shitstorm. It's fine. Look, people do bad things in video games. People break things. People find things that are broken. People push buttons they shouldn't push. Those people get banned. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Genuinely doesn't matter. The amount of causation and correlation going on at the moment is actually bananas. It's all fine. We have some stuff to do today, though. I'm probably going to get chores out the way, because I think that's the best way to do it, isn't it? I think we get chores out the way. The dumb shit that always annoys me, I think we get out the way. So, like, farming the treasures, for example, we need to get out of the way. I suspect that this is the week where you're going to be able to mostly start hitting your max builds, I think, for a lot of professions, for a lot of, like, intermediate stuff. I'm pretty sure your jewel crafters with your prospecting and your scribes with your milling and all of that sort of business is within touching distance of like actually being bis at now, I think. I'm getting like no frames again, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Today's the worst day for treasure farms. I know. Some people hit max build recently. Look, like I said, people do bad things. Blizzard know that people have done bad things. Quick question on DE, Disenchanting, I assume you mean. Is there a way to automate this within TOS? No. No. It's a one button press, one action kind of task. I mean, you can macro it and you can put it on a scroll wheel. You can do the same thing as like add-ons like TSM do, yes, but you can't set something to press a button for you and walk away from your keyboard. That's going to get you in a world of hurt. More importantly, right now, there is no money in disenchanting, right? People are actually wasting their life away doing disenchanting right now. I just want to point out the very clear and simple, obvious error with all of this. If we go full screen for a minute, is that dust is in the bin, right? Look at the price of dust. Look at the price of dust. Ever singing dust is like single digits, and this. This is after clearly a huge amount of it's been bought out, by the way. Humongous quantities of this has been bought out recently. People have been processing and have just been like dumping stock. It's kind of wild. But there ain't no money in this. If you look at the price of Tranquility Bloom, we went over this the other day, but I mean, Tranquility Bloom is 13 gold a pop. With a reasonable amount of it knocking about as well. I've noticed huge quantities of materials disappearing off the auction house in the last day or two, though. So people are clearly starting to like squirrel shit away. They're spending a bunch. They're putting it in a war bank. They're leaving it in a mailbox. They're forgetting about it. They'll come back to it when it's good. But it kind of means that there's so little money in disenchanting right now, and it's such a time-consuming process. And especially if you've only got the one account and you're trying to do all the steps of the process, it's just chaos. Go out, play the game. Like, honestly, give it 2 weeks, you'll be able to do an hour's worth of herbing and mining, and 4 to 5 times the amount of gold you'll make. You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely Gucci. Trust me. You'll be fine. I'm going to go Zulaman, I think. I'm going to go Zulaman. I'm going to hope I get some frames by the time I get there. Want to buy some frames. I should have, actually, books. Just real quick. Let's get those. Yeah, I think with the amount of catch-up and flickers and stuff that should be available, like, people are going to be easy pushing max builds today. I haven't even checked things like Patreon orders, but if people are being proactive with their dun-duns, then I would imagine that we're already starting to see orders for, like, epic tools, I would guess, for those of you that have got the recipes and the patterns. I might look at a little bit of that in a short while, see what we've got the capability of. Let's do a couple of laps around here. Couple of cheeky laps. I'm gonna follow the fish. Follow the fish. Follow the fish. Why are my fishing pools not showing on my map? Okay. They do, but they're kind of like scuffed. Oh! Harandir is probably, or Harandar, however you want to pronounce this. Harandar is probably not too bad for treasures again now, since flipping the stupid glow moth things are now a different color, so you can not confuse them. Finally, roots are also meant to be coming from your goodie bags as well, by the way. And if roots do continue to come from your goodie bags, you'll see the price of roots crash quite heavily today, which is good.
Sweet profit together.
Safe with a resub for 5. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Welcome in this morning. Open M plus empties the auction house rather than the drawn out raids. Yeah, it's this time in the expansion is always fun, you know. The doom and gloom out there is always real. With so many people, you just got to use your brain for 5 seconds, and you'll realize when you use your brain for 2 minutes that everybody's trying to make gold and nobody's really wanting to spend gold. Like, that is never gonna be that's never a good combo, is it? Let's be real. That's never a good combo. I mean, that basically means when everybody's trying to make gold and nobody's really spending it, you got to be doing something real outside the box. Real outside the box. And soon as people start wanting stuff, it will be all fine. Don't stress. I've started selling decor again. I never stopped. I've been keeping up with my auctions. I've been keeping up with my auctions. Oof. One of my dogs is stinky today. Holy. Stinky. Solo's under the sofa again. I'm going to have to rescue him from under there. He's managed to break his flipping cone of shame. There's our Solo boy. He was relaxing with Alma, clearly doing all the relaxing, and has managed to break his cone. Where's me hype train? Oh, somebody's kicked off a hype train. Where's me little hype train? Oh, I purged me hype train thing the other day. Pinpointed that hype train was like stealing 20 FPS from me. And so I yoinked it. So I haven't got me fancy little hype train thing anymore. I need to get a slightly more optimized version of it. It was rendering a full 1080p scene to do that hype train. It was not necessary. to be so high resolution for what it did. Sold one of the decor for 200k before they crashed down to 50. Yeah, decor's gonna decor will keep doing its thing. No problems with decor keeping doing its thing. My graphic settings seem to be all sorts of crazy. Why am I not seeing... Where are the fishing pools? Where's this treasure then? Was it that? My graphic settings are all sorts of scuffed. I'm sure it's been asked before, but does anybody know, is there anything happening to the... People who exploit the game get banned. Don't worry about it. Genuinely don't worry about it. People who exploit get banned. And more importantly than that, I want to clear up something that most profession... It's super duper mega easy for Blizzard to see who used a book 15 times, right? It's super duper mega easy to see. Don't worry about it. If people break the rules in the game, they get banned. Simples. Don't let it live rent-free. Okay, now my fishing pools are showing up properly. There's genuinely no reason to stress about it. There's significantly more reasons to why everybody's struggling to make profit right now than potential people exploiting knowledge points. Honestly, just don't worry about it. I know it's going to be a big topic of discussion today, and I know it's going to frustrate the living crap out of me, because everybody's going to want to talk about it, and I already don't. But let it just, you know, be known that Blizzard know about it. Blizzard were very quick to point out that this is clearly an exploit. Don't fucking do it. Right? Simple. That's the TLDR on that one. How can I have graphic settings on 3 and it still be running like dog? It's not been discussed already. Abundance has no catch-up. Yeah, I assumed it wouldn't. It didn't on the beta. There was never any signs of there being a catch-up. It's something... Abundance is definitely something that I'm probably not going to do all that much of. Certainly not at the period where there's lots of other things to be doing. The need to do it is there for mass crafting purposes. So I will do it on a few characters, sure. But I'm certainly not doing it. I'm not spending an hour... Like, because when you do the maths on it, it is just a disgusting amount of time. It's a humongous amount of time that you have to spend. Goldson spent 14 million on moats. Goldson does what Goldson does. Every day he says he's not going to... Every day he turns around and says, I'm done with investing. Never again. Tomorrow, right, 5 mil on black. He needs to seek some assistance, I swear. Moats won't recover, I guess? Why not? What possibly makes you think that moats won't recover? You do realise you can buy out the entire region supply of moats for like 3 million gold. Like, there is no fucking way they're going to stay at 2-3 gold apiece. Not a chance, mate. Not a chance. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. Not a chance. 2x4 skinning is printing like crazy. It doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter. You've not seen nothing yet, trust me. I'm more than just a pretty face. Ooh. Homely wall shelves, 10 gold. Well, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. Anybody tested a good build for Herbalism to maximize Nocturnal Lotus? I don't think it's worth trying to maximize Nocturnal Lotus, because the only way you can do that is at the cost of something else. I think you are still significantly better at stacking finesse. The numbers still don't add up. Like, Nocturnal Lotus is still not anywhere near as expensive enough for you to go full build on it. You'd still want to stack finesse, and the only way you get more Nocturnal Lotus is by putting points in the nodes that also simultaneously give you skill. So just stack finesse, because, you know, how many finesse procs do you think you can get in an hour relative to like maybe 1 or 2 more Nocturnal Lotus, 3 or 4 more Nocturnal Lotus? 3 or 4 more Nocturnal Lotus, even if they're like 2k a piece, is only an extra 10k an hour. Whereas you are sacrificing finesse procs in order to get that as well. So it doesn't make sense for me to stack to perception for Nocturnal Lotus. The easy thing is, though, is that you can test it. You can math this out, because you have to spec in the same way, basically. The knowledge point allocation is exactly the same. It's it's just the tool that you'll use. If you got deep enough pockets, buy a fully geared out blue perception tool, do an hour's worth of a couple of hours of farming, grab another one with the other stat on, and do the same again, and just compare your results. I'm not convinced, though, that stacking perception is the play. It might be if you can. It might be when you eventually get to have all, because of course you're only going to have enough knowledge points to stack on like probably 1 herb. Now, a lot of people clearly have put humongous amounts of points into, what's it called, Tranquility Bloom. And by putting points in Tranquility Bloom, everybody's getting a lot of Tranquility Bloom, which is cool. But like I said, you don't really have enough knowledge points to really see strong effect of this yet, I don't think. So I wouldn't worry about it. Oh, that's not a treasure, is it? More often than not, I tend to think with farming, min-maxing your build is kind of pointless. Like, if you want more gold, just do another hour's worth of farming, right? You know? For example, the reason I don't sweat of it is because I know I'm not going to do much more than a few hours worth of farming a week. Like, if I wanted to make more gold with Herbalism and mining, I'd just spend more time doing Herbalism and mining. Like, that's the easiest and most guaranteed win. Just put more effort in. Job done. I don't think people are capped out on their effort, like, even remotely close. I messed up my dun-duns. They don't stack. So you have to do 8 weekly to get another 8 week. Thought they'd go up to 16. No, you've very simply just got to farm your dun-duns and then you've got to use them. They've clearly made the UI for it unnecessarily complicated. You know, them trying to tell you how many dun-dun runs you've... Like, they could be much more clear with it. They could say that you can do 8 runs per week. How many runs have you done? For example. Why am I getting random calls from a +39 number? Where the hell's +39? Not answering that call. How many treasures have we got? I've got my leatherworking treasures at least. Just the jewel crafting ones we're missing. The profession I actually care about. I need to try something. I can't be having flipping 10 FPS playing this game. Might have to turn those accounts off. We'll come back to them later. Also, hasn't really helped much of any in terms of frame rates. Game just feels super poorly optimized. Chasing the rabbit with a jewel crafting blood elf statue recipe of 500 treasures in, no luck so far. Woof. Woof. Best of luck though. Best of luck. There's humongous money in the decor, I think, again. I mean, just the simple price of some of the decor is absolutely off the charts. Wild. And there's so few of it as well. Seems like people who had early access also have access to the epic tools. Yeah, I know. I've complained to Blizzard about it. I'm like, I thought the whole point of early access was that there was no weekly advantage to be had. No, I don't know if they'll do anything or even listen, but yeah, it seems a bit weird. It's one of those, though. If they don't do anything about it, tomorrow, like next week, the problem goes away. So it's just going to be one of those annoyances where I think they'll brush it under the rug and just, you know, won't say shit. As annoying as it is, because yes, some people will get their epic tool this week. And I know, the thing is I know it won't get mass media popularity because people will be like, oh, well, you'll get yours next week. Like, the problem is that the general perception about crafting is that I don't enjoy it, so it doesn't matter. There's an awful lot of dismissive kind of attitude towards crafting, which is why it's so hard when stuff like this happens to like make us think about it. And I think we're going to have that exact scenario with the epic tools. Some people will get their epic tool this week. Some people will just, you know, have a 4% multi-craft advantage over others this week, and so be it. Technically, the season hasn't actually started yet, so in theory, it's not the biggest of an advantage in most places, but, you know, it still kind of sucks a little bit, based upon the fact that they, you know, clearly rushed the entire thing. I love the expansion launches because it brings obviously a lot to talk about, but at the same time, it really frustrates me, and sometimes I can't hide my frustration. It frustrates me just how much negativity there is at the beginning of an expansion as well. Like, people getting pissed that, you know, bugs and exploits are a thing. I mean, to a degree, quite rightly, but, like, it's, people let it get to them way too much. It causes drama and flipping Reddit threads and twitlongers and all sorts of stupid stuff to happen. Kind of puts a real taint on what should be the absolute best part of an expansion ever. The first couple of weeks are just crazy fun. So much to do, so much to explore. Feels bad I had early access and still didn't do the abundance thing. Yeah, me too. Like, I was like, this shit is so broken. And this shit is so broken, and we're not meant to have weekly advantages in early access anyway, so I just ignored it. I skipped it entirely, and I also recommended people to do the same because it was so fucking busted. You were lucky if you got any unalloyed abundance out of it at all in the first week. Never mind getting like 600, 900. If you could even get the damn thing to work, like, you know, the first couple of days you couldn't even pick up the bubbles. So I don't think I was wrong in recommending people steer clear of it, but at the same time, it feels bad that people who followed my advice are now behind because of it, which, you know, kind of annoying. I don't know why I'm so gung-ho on fishing this morning. I'm hunting down treasure pools. I don't know why. Meant to be looking for my actual treasures. I'm letting the coffee kick in. Can you tell I'm pre-caffeine this morning? Holy. Sheesh. Any treasures around this area? I don't even know. I was going to say, you said we shouldn't do abundance because it's buggy as hell. Well, yeah, I still think that's the correct, you know, that was the sensible advice. I believe so anyway. Blizzard quite clearly tried to point out that no weekly advantages were meant to be had in early access. 2, the game mode was fucking busted. So I'm not really, you know, I'm not gonna feel bad for suggesting people didn't do it because it was completely shit show, absolute clown fiesta. It's just annoying that those that then did now have found themselves a way to gain almost an entire week's advantage on others who didn't try and hack through Blizzard's clown fiesta. Dead. I'm not paying any attention today, am I? Clearly. Found being in war mode is better for treasures. It is, I just forgot to turn it on. And to go all the way back, to come all the way back again is like, ugh. God bless Feign Death. God bless Feign Death. Right. Void touched Eversong fragments. Void, you receive void touched Eversong fragments. Wait, why is... Okay. Something's gone weird there. I got those and it's claiming I don't have them. The tracking for these gone loopy doops. Ah. Okay. Well, that scuffed my glad I noticed that I actually looted those. Rare Scanner is the best thing for treasures. It can scan them 300 to 400 yards away, and you can click a notification to get the arrow. It can, yeah. It's got a really wide search scan. You're right. You're right. That wouldn't be a bad add-on to switch on, to be honest. A potion? Out of what? Was that like some random treasure bag? Okay. Oh, sometimes it switches the item. You've looted this, but you don't have the other one. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I do still think I have one treasure. Just not the one it's listing. I haven't updated my auction add-ons in a few days either. That is a treasure. Oh, that's a one-time treasure. There also doesn't seem to be quite as much lumber knocking about. Whether it's just the fact that people are picking it up and it has a slow respawn or something, I've not really checked, but there doesn't really feel to be anywhere near as much lumber in the midnight zones. I wonder if they did deliberately tweak the numbers for midnight. I was half feeling to be just like swimming in the damn stuff because, you know, every tree would have it, but doesn't turn out to be the way. Okay, 7 of 8 done-duns at least. this fella's clearly doing the same. Rare scanner for tracking treasure pools would also be a very good one. If that's a thing that can be tracked. I don't know if fishing nodes can be tracked like that. I don't think you can track herbs like that, so herbs are all like that. I don't think there's a way for add-ons to scan the minimap to see what they are, but might even level me fishing or something today, you know. I kind of need a chill day. I'm going to be brutally honest. The last few days have been a busy few days, both IRL and in game. I started getting the TSM profile sorted yesterday. I'm still a touch. There's a few things that aren't possible in the way that I want to do them with TSM right now. I don't know how many of you have been trying to craft and sell profession tools. Probably loads of you. But grouping them via or let me put it this way, it's difficult to properly group the variations. In fact, it's not difficult, it's impossible because the flipping thing doesn't work. The bonus ID system is one of those things that, and is partly the reason why I wait for wait for TSM to fix the add-on, is that one of the things they often have to do is go in manually and change a bunch of tracking on items where there's like multiple variations. For example, on the profession tools, if you use you use missives to make them, they end up with different bonus IDs to if you don't use missives, which kind of makes sense that the game is at least tracking that you used a missive to make this thing. It also tracks what materials are used when making it. So if you use concentration, they have different bonus IDs to if you don't use concentration, for example. This is all of the stuff that Blizzard has to do. TSM has to do to go in and, like, you know, manually fix it. I'm kind of half waiting for those guys to get that done. Then I can finish getting groups sorted properly. Of course, PvP gear doesn't feel as if it's, like, properly in the game yet. Oh, that's a point. Is there any... Haven't they... they've added a flipping... a 4-week PvP quest or something for a hero piece of gear, I think. Something desperately to try and get people into PvP, apparently. I don't know what the logistics of that is, but does this mean we're seeing the heraldries yet? Come on, I need one treasure. One treasure. Because I'm trying to keep my eyes on flipping fishing pools, there's a strong chance I'm missing the treasures on the minimap as well, but... Rain motes go back up in time, but I'm not buying any more. Sunk cost fallacy. It'll be all good, man. Don't worry. Listening to you describe the complexities, I'm so glad I took it chill this expansion. Honestly, it's the best way to do it right now. The more you get caught up in the hype, the more chance there is of you doing something silly. Turns out these treasure pools don't really seem to exist. Lots of fishing pools, generally speaking. And I should be scanning them to see if any are, like, guppy pools or whatever. But... I'm after just the treasure ones. To be fair, I should probably just level my fishing up properly before I do this. Commented last stream about buying cloth whilst the farming spot was up. Very happy to report big profits after the fix. Congratulations. Good effort. General treasure. What do I want the treasure ones for? For treasure. Well, that would be obvious. For treasures. Was that 9 motes of light? Community coupons? How is doing fishing for my own benefit community worthy? I mean, I'll take it. Cleaning up all these pesky fish. It's usually a bunch of treasures on these little islands at in the corner here. Did you go ahead and buy the fishing line thing already? No, I haven't. It's an interesting little market, though. Cool, sort of like little oddity to investigate. Considered buying it last week. Kicked myself that I didn't. Kicked yourself that you didn't? I mean, this is the fun thing about expansion launch. You can't do everything, right? It was cheap? What do you mean? Wasn't it like 400k or something outrageous? I mean, what? I suppose, what is it now? Okay, do the epic ones just not exist? Okay. No way. Glimmer line. I can't remember what category they're in. What category are they in? Okay, why did that not search when I did it in TSM? Okay, they're cheaper than they were the other day. Well, my thoughts on Conch armies this expansion. Prices are so volatile right now. Conch's done. It's game over. There'll be money in it for 6 weeks maximum. Bloom line and what's the other one? Glimmer line? Yeah. Okay, well, they're cheaper than they were the other day. The places in which you make gold with concentration right now are in markets where people don't, where there is not physically enough knowledge points to be able to mass produce something yet. So this is why things like the basic tailoring bolts are doing pretty wild things right now, because there's physically not enough knowledge points in the game for you to be able to mass produce high quality imbued linen bolts. Hence why the only ones that exist come from concentration right now, and hence they're really pricey. But as soon as there's enough knowledge points in the game, that market just deletes itself instantly. And so goes with it the concentration opportunity. We've already seen enchanting is really suffering from the fact that enchanting materials are basically exactly the same price, which told everybody was going to happen. Yeah, like concentration was last expansion's. Concentration was last expansion's big thing. I am still incredibly gung ho on decor, to be honest. I still think the ones that want to make consistent, steady gold the entire expansion focus on decor. Whether it be this expansion or past expansion. Decor. Simply because, for the most part, it requires you to do something. That is purely enough to put enough people off for there to always be some pretty good margin in decor. For the time being, skinning is doing quite well, but it's one of those that we'll have to see just how long the legs are on that. At least I can say for certain the majestic materials are not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're used in consumables, meaning they won't be going anywhere. There'll be plenty need for these even later on in the expansion. They went from 50 to 60k to 5 to 6k. Yeah, but so does everything. It's just a case of how long does it take to do it. You know, 5k, you got to remember, like, 5k every few days is basically concentration level sort of potential again. It's, you know, it's not that dissimilar. And we also have to bear in mind that there's probably not a humongous demand for the Majestics right now either. Hence why the price has come down from like 50k to 5k. It's come down a bunch because people are, you know, there's not that many people who wanted them. They're being consumed for the production of what do you call them? Blue profession gear. But give it a while. I have a horrible feeling this jewel crafting treasure's bugged, you know. Give it a while, then they might we'll see. I don't know. I hate speculating on price. Because people hold me to it. Like I can have any control over the market. I'm starting to assume that jewel crafting treasure's being a bit weird. Nostradamus, give projections. Welcome in, what are we doing? Jesus, I don't need another nickname. Got enough with Ranthius on one shoulder. Oh, my little goblin legs can't hop through the window. Stupid goblin. Yeah, oh, I might even ding 90 today. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? This is the first expansion, I think ever, where I've gone the first week of an expansion and don't even have my main character at max level. I don't think that's ever happened, ever. I was, dare I say it, I was on Reddit yesterday. Look, I go there. I'm not proud of it. But I was on Reddit yesterday, and somebody sparked up a discussion in the subreddit talking about, like, the shuffle versus abundance. And I chipped in with my 2 cents on the situation. And that I think abundance is the lesser of two evils. I just think it's been poorly implemented. But there's no taking away the fact that the shuffle gave you the ability to manufacture an edge, which is missing right now. And this is clearly where I think a lot of the frustration comes from people at the moment, like tinkering with crafting professions. The frustration comes from the fact that people think that they've done everything that they should do. Why are they not making profit? And the problem I kind of think is that, well, any old idiot can follow a guide, get a few knowledge points, and buy the right profession gear. Everybody is assuming that just by having the knowledge points in the build, that sort of somewhat, for some reason, entitles you to profit. And this is what we saw throughout most of the War Within. But we've just accelerated to this point incredibly quickly in Midnight. Incredibly quickly. In the War Within, it was sort of staggered based upon the fact that, well, you know, there was the shuffle. If you did the shuffle, you could manufacture yourself an edge. And if you could take advantage of that edge for a while until others caught up, there was profit to be had. And because it was kind of like not that commonly understood, the manufactured edge in some professions was pretty spicy. This time round, though, Moxie's been kind of neutralized. Profession tools are available on the auction house. You've got to grind flipping abundance to get your time-gated epics. You know, this has meant that the first 10 days of the expansion has been really, really difficult for people to, like, edge themselves an advantage. And so people need to find out what that next kind of outside-the-box thinking opportunity is. And I don't know what the best plan of action is in terms of, like, helping people with this. But I really think the best thing that most people could learn and understand is that you absolutely don't need to be the cheapest on the auction house to sell stuff. You can post pretty much anything at 20% above what it is listed for at its minimum price, and within 48 hours, maybe, 96 hours. If it doesn't sell on your first listing, it will probably sell on your next listing. You'll sell all of it. People seem to have got it into their heads that unless you are the absolute bare minimum price, you sell nothing. And when you use a publicly available or even a less publicly available spreadsheet tool, website, whatever, calculator, when you use these things in order to do the maths for you, you have to remember that fucking everybody else is using those same tools and is getting the exact same numbers that you are. And so when you see a green box on a spreadsheet, or green box on your little calculator, or your Craft Sim add-on tells you there's a profit, it's telling fucking everybody there's a profit. No shit, Sherlock. It's like in the bin by the end of the day. But that's because all of those numbers are based upon two things. They're based upon you buying shit at the cheapest possible price, and they're based upon you selling it at the cheapest possible price. Two things that if you're savvy, you probably shouldn't be doing. A, you shouldn't be buying your materials just willy-nilly. You should be buying them when you know they're cheap. And secondly, you should be selling your crafted items at a point that is A, profitable, and B, not necessarily always... 300! Are you fucking kidding me? I was in there with a boatload of people. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I need to not stream today, don't I? Oh, God. Are you shitting me? 300? You were still at 1,500. Was it not depositing them? 670 materials contributed. Is that it? They've nerfed the abundance. It fills up so much slower. Abundance was changed somehow today. Very hard to do contributions. You basically need a full raid now. Are you shitting me? You actually need to move to get the 900. Well, what? Oh, I hate this system. Okay, let's raid it up. Let's raid it up. They've changed it so that you need a large-scale raid. What's the fucking point? They should have moved. They should move the needle in the other direction. They should move it in the other direction so that it's not something that needs a fucking hooning great big raid. Okay. Raid it up. Let's go. Will herbing and mining recover its gold per hour? It's not that terrible right now. It's like 20-25k an hour at least, isn't it? Probably more. Two boxing it the whole evening. Most of it I could simply AFK. At about 1 AM I had to actively alternate the two alts and still didn't get 900 sometimes. So they've now hotfixed it so that it's more difficult, and so has basically pushed it into a situation where you absolutely have to do it in a raid group. Ten people isn't enough. All I remember while Ranthius happens is that you advocated for adding more vitality materials to the epic tools, Keck. The reason I did that was because I wanted it to be a skill, like... You don't understand how close I am to just rage quitting the stream today. It should be a skill-based mini solo game, right? We don't want another slideshow AFK raid Zerg fiesta. We actually don't. They couldn't be further from what we actually want. My suggestion for putting, like, the point was when it was one fused vitality and they cost 400 apiece, it was just busy work, right? It was busy work. You did 3 runs. In 9 minutes, you could afford your piece of epic gear. It was entirely pointless. And so hence why I was like, well, either just get rid of this stupid system or make it meaningful. Making it meaningful is not multiplying the cost by 40 and then making it so that it can only be completed in a full raid group. Oh, I'm not even doing this. When the fun stops, stop. Fuck me. This is all a recipe for burnout for people who love to have loads of crafting alts. I abstain. Yeah, I absolutely. Absolutely. I am just flat out not doing it. Let's go do some of the stuff that I do actually prefer to do. Let's go have a little look at my profession, see if we got any patron orders. Let's see if we can get any knowledge points that way. I couldn't care less about epic tools now. Screw them. If I can't have fun with rare tools, I just won't do it. I tell you what, I can't even begin to tell you how glad I am that I've like slowly but surely diverted into like cross realm and flipping and that sort of stuff, because crafting is really driving me nuts. Genuinely driving me nuts. One order that's worth doing on leather working. Not a problem. Let's check John crafting. The one freebie. That'll be for a flicker, no doubt. Yeah. Okay. Very weak source on the on those. Epic tools, for sure, it's to prevent people from having alt armies, maybe. No, but the thing is if they're going to put a prevention system in place, put an actual prevention system in place. Don't like just put a really long, grindy carrot on the stick. Because some people will do the really long, grindy carrot on the stick. If they don't want alt armies to have lots of different professions, then just simply restrict us from doing that.
Is that your wallet? Or are you just glad to see me? Both, I hope.
I'll just wait for the rage to build on the forums, then they'll fix it in the end, fingers crossed. I was mentioning this earlier, the issue I think we have more so than anything is that crafting isn't taken seriously enough by even a fraction of the player base. The amount of dismissive viewpoints towards crafting is actually fucking wild. This frustrates the living Christ out of me, because I'm lucky now that I've got sort of a direct line in a way to Blizzard. Being part of the creator Discord means that I can get in conversations with other creators. I can get, put opinions in front of Blizzard directly. And on many occasions, I've put forward an idea, an opinion or something, and even from other creators, the level of dismissal towards crafting is actually gross sometimes. The amount of people who are like, well, I don't care, so you shouldn't care, is really, really frustrating. And I think that the abundance will be the same thing. The silly thing is, right, is there won't be genuinely won't be half as many people doing it this week either. So if they've buffed it so that you have to be doing it in a 40-man raid at the very same time that half as many people are going to be doing it, because people were doing it last week because it was new. People were doing it last week because there's like pets and mounts and all sorts of shit to get from it. Everybody had a reason to do it last week, so the engagement levels would have been at their highest. This week, though, you're already at a point where everybody could have easily got all the shit they really wanted from it last week. Now it's in crafter mode. It's only crafters that are going to care about this from this point on, really. Or people that were late to the party and haven't done it before, maybe. But like, just significant decline, I think, in the amount of people who'll be doing it this week. Which now means you're going to have to put a raid group together. You're going to have to wait around. You're going to have... it's just going to be a pain. Oh, okay. Whew, breathe. What do we sell? 95 diamonds. Go on. I go back to just flipping decor on a billion realms and printing stupid amounts of gold that way. I'm going to have to ping one of the multi-boxes on the Goblin Discords just to do the abundance. Well, this is probably what we might actually have to do. We genuinely might have to do this. We might just have to just say, right, Thursday, we just abundance raid. Boom. Just fucking bang it out. Just get it done, That might have to kind of be the play. Get people the opportunity to... Give people the opportunity to all dive in. May not be that necessary, short term, but we'll see. We'll see. Crafters will raid together to get a tool later to then only compete with each other on the auction house later. Great. It's true, yeah. Yeah. Oh god, where are all the dogs? You're not gonna be able to see much of Sulla. You can only see his nose. He's hiding under the sofa. He broke his cone today. His cone of shame that he still unfortunately has to wear. He's managed to break it, look. He was gently playing with amlams and has managed to break a big chunk off his cone. So unfortunately, it's more of a psychological cone now, because I don't actually think it serves its purpose anymore. I think his tongue can whip around the corner, which is kind of the reason why he wears it. But we got amlams snoozing over there. Nips are in the bed as well. We're at that time of the day where they do actually chill. We'll turn that off because you'll probably be able to see I haven't hoovered for a few days. New goal making carry strat, sell the dun-dun runs. Do it. Genuinely. Do it. I've been watching Luxar's quite famous author of his previous week horrors. He's found the professions now, getting very interested into them, grinding them to max like a real goblin. Bit eye-opening to see some veteran player who hasn't done modern professions digging into them and even enjoying it. The thing that will kill your enjoyment of the professions the fastest, right? The thing that will kill the enjoyment of the professions the fastest is expecting to make stupid amounts of gold with them. If you go into the professions with the mindset of that, this is quite thematic, I can, level this up and I can craft a few things for myself, most people should see the professions as like kind of just relatively casual utility. This is what Blizzard have been trying to achieve with it for a couple of expansions, and they started to get it right. The irony is they started to get it right in the War Within, and in my opinion, they've taken a step backwards now, against what they were actually trying to achieve, and I'll try and explain why. Concentration was the best thing they added for professions in terms of the fact that it gave people the ability to make a very small quantity of items at a very cost-effective price. So cost-effective that it made it significantly cheaper than buying them off the auction house. And it was that advantage that goblins jumped on the entire expansion with concentration alt armies, right? It was never really meant to be, mass commoditized to that scale, I don't think. Concentration, like, on the drawing board was probably, like, Blizzard's way of saying, right, we want to give people the ability to do a small amount of stuff for their own personal gain. Because if you remember the landscape of Dragonflight, this is going to be a little bit of a history lesson, and I hope people can follow along and kind of remember this. But in Dragonflight, you had the problem that you basically shouldn't... The scenario existed that if you weren't up to date with your professions in Dragonflight, the right answer was to not bother. The right answer was to not do it, because you were never going to be able to compete on price, and trying to craft your own potions or your own enchants was futile, because your crafting cost was 30% more expensive than what they were listed for on the auction house. So the right answer was to not do them. And that was kind of bad when they just fully rebuilt the entire profession system. And so when they go into the War Within, they add this system called Concentration, which completely 100% fixed that. It basically meant that there was the auction house price, the crafting cost of something, But you could come along with concentration and make 2, 3, a handful of potions, enough for your evening's raid, enough for, you know, a few Mythic Plus runs. And you could make them significantly cheaper than what they were listed for on the auction house. And so there was value to actually bother. There was value for casuals to play with the professions. The problem being is that at the same time, all of these casuals looked at the profession system and were like, it's too complicated. I've put my knowledge points in the wrong place. And so Blizzard have swung the pendulum going into Midnight, in my opinion, in the wrong direction. They've tried to simplify things, but at the same time as simplifying it, they've killed the advantage that they cleverly added with concentration in the War Within. They've nuked that, because now you're going to find that concentration doesn't really add any particular value to stuff, and they've done that by just squishing qualities to 2 qualities. So they added a good thing with concentration, and instead of tweaking it, they've just nuked it. Which will mean that once again, we're going to find that Midnight, from a crafting perspective, is going to play out incredibly similar to Dragonflight, where in a couple of weeks' time, if you haven't kept up with it, you might as well not bother. Which is a shame, because they're clearly going backwards. And it kind of shows, right? It kind of shows that the Dragonflight team are the same team that were responsible for Midnight Professions, because there's so many crossovers and so many similarities. I wonder what they're going to do in The Last Titan, because there's a probability that it's the War Within team that is dealing with The Last Titan. If we get thaumaturgy back in The Last Titan, I'm absolutely going to wet myself. That's going to be fantastic. But there's clearly at least 2 teams of people that, you know, flip-flop and alternate between expansions when it comes to the professions. It would be cool if the abundance gave you experience too, so you don't just do it for the 900. Well, I actually, in a weird way, think not giving XP is probably the best move, because otherwise you can bet your ass it would just be level boosting. That's all it'll be. You AFK in the corner and 4 people will just nuke the zone. 2 teams alternating, yet they still copy over the broken code. True. Yeah. At least I hope in The Last Titan they get rid of all of the exploits that are ruining the game for legitimate players. Well, fun fact, this book exploit was reported many times on the beta. It was also present in The War Within, and it also was present in Dragonflight. So this is another scenario of that they just copy the old original base code, exploits and all, and people go in and they're like, this works again. Like, it's the same thing with the flipping tailoring cooldown bolts. They copy the base code over, bugs and all, and it's just broken. It means when we roll around to the War Within beta, the Last Titan beta, we need to make humongous stinks of all of these exploits on the beta. I'm talking forum threads, you know, daily videos until they're fixed, all of this sort of shit. So that the game doesn't go live with them all in again. They haven't banned and rolled back the knowledge point exploiters from the books and engineers, then you may as well also not bother. I don't think people realise how tiny the effect of it is, though. You know, news like that spreads like absolute fucking wildfire. But the reality is you can tell. You can look, just look, right, look. Bolt of linen. What was it? What they called? Hang on, let me just go through this way. My brain is frazzled. Right, imbued bright linen bolts. Top quality imbued bright linen bolts. There's only 5,000 of them, and they're still 1,000 gold apiece. Do you really think that if there was an exploit in the game that many people knew about that allowed you to push tailoring knowledge points to max, do you really think there'd only be 5,000 on the auction house? Or do you think that maybe possibly there'd be 100,000 of them? Right? The reality is people blow this massively, massively, massively out of scale. They blow it out of scale. Tailoring's the only one that hasn't hit the breakpoint. That's the reason I showcase tailoring, because it's the clearest and most obvious way to show that this exploit isn't that impactful. No, tailoring is not a bad example. Tailoring is the best example, because this market is strictly like this purely because naturally tailors do not have enough knowledge points enabled to mass produce these yet. But if those who exploited had humongous amounts more knowledge points, then they would have been able to. Therefore, they would have been able to craft these on absolute mass. But they didn't, which shows that there really wasn't that much of an impact on said exploit. It's just that everybody now assumes that the reason that they can't make profit in their profession is because somebody else out there must have exploited. No, there's a lot more to it than that. It's a bad example, though, because they haven't hit it yet. They will hit it weeks earlier than others. You got to remember that Blizzard can like, when you use one of those knowledge point books, it's like a quest completion, right? It's a 5-minute job for an intern at Blizzard to go, right, who's completed this quest more than once? If anybody's completed this quest more than once, then they're boof, right? It's so easy. It's so easy for Blizzard to track this, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If anybody, if there's the possibility that they might let it slip. They might let a few people slip through the net, right? People that maybe used a book twice, because there's possibility there that you bought it. Oh, you maybe accidentally bought 2 books. And then you used 2 books, and you were like, but, the people who've completed the same quest, the people who used the book 10 times, donk, easy game, right? Easy. My point is that for the most part, the effect of players doing that is not that high. People blow all of this shit way out of proportion. If this was rampant and thousands of people had abused it, then there would not still be scenarios like this in the game. There just wouldn't. This post shows that 4 days ago, somebody had high-quality imbued bright linen bolts and was recycling them for high-quality ether looms. Yeah. Some people clearly did it, and those people will clearly get absolutely nuked. But the impact is not as high as people are trying to make out. It's not game-breaking. It's not like Doom, the world is ending. What does nuked mean here? Because anything other than a ban and a rollback is pointless. It shows there's no consequences. I'm pretty sure people will get their, they'll get banned. Any illegitimate gold gains will be removed. Now, of course, short of fully rolling back the entire economy, there's not a huge amount they can do about the materials produced or sold or You know, that is the unfortunate nature of a live service game. It's why Blizzard's prerogative is to not let these exploits get out in the first place. And is also hence why when they happen, like, I don't go flipping making YouTube videos about them. I'll wait until the problem is kind of under control and then we'll talk about it. Fucking YouTubers out there, like, just creaming their pants at the opportunity of making a YouTube video about an exploit 4 minutes after a Reddit thread pops up. Like, those guys can sod off, right? Because they're only causing more problems than they're helping. They're not doing it for exposure. You can fuck right off if you think they're doing it for exposure. They're doing it for views, mate. They're doing it for some cash monies. Fuck everybody else. So, you know, it's a touch frustrating when stuff like this happens, but I genuinely think that people blow this so far out of proportion that they just need to chill a bit about it, honestly. In you know, in a week's time, everybody will have forgotten. They'll have moved on to something else. I like today's energy. I don't know where this has come from. I genuinely don't. I'm going to go do some fishing. Fuck it, I'm doing some fishing. What's my fishing skill? We are 73 midnight fishing. I'll tell you what, there's one thing better than doing a bit of fishing right now. We'll get our gathering done for the week. That's an absolute top tier idea, that is. Let's de-stress by doing a bit of gathering. Nobody ever gets stressed doing gathering, right? Nice chill fishing stream. Right, Muthius. Do some skinning. You stuck under the sofa, Sulla? You want to come out from under the sofa? Seem chill. Has anybody found any good solo skinning spots? Or should I just fly around and do some high value beast farming? That's probably a good way to get the weekly knowledge with skinning. Oh, what's the turn-ins this week? Team NA had the Dawn Crystal turn-in for enchanting, didn't they? I bet that's gonna sting. Is it the same in the EU? Dawn Crystals to the moon? Same on EU? Okay. Dawn Crystals to the moon. Lol. Right. Skinning book. Let's do a tailoring book, just because I'm thinking about it. Oh, I've got a bunch of skinning knowledge points in my bag. Get those used. What's the skinning turn in? Oh, I've got flipping wrong flight on. Where's my button for switching? Do I not have a button for switching flight? Switch flight style. I miss seeing the map down in the middle of the screen. Why change it? I don't know. Something new. Bit of a change. $20 void tempered leather. It's not too bad. There you go. Have some void tempered leather. 3 mana infused bones. That's the catch-up one, isn't it? And fine void tempered hide. Oh, I don't have much to do with skinning. I might have done a little bit of skinning already this morning. I was feeling majestic. Track some high value beasties. Hang on, I think Sulla's actually stuck under the sofa. I think his cone is limiting his Oh, you can fly through those. I thought I could land on that. Turns out I can't. Please hold. Right. That's freedom. He still unfortunately has his cone of shame, but he's not trapped under the sofa anymore. One epic tool client got stolen from me today, but I've done 5 if you include that. Nice work, nice work. Where is the treasure in here? By the way, Elon was the thief. Really? Lol. Streamer privilege. Right, high value beasties. Where's the high value beasties? Oh, actually, am I even tracking these on the map? There's a That's the sharpen your knife thing. That's kind of pointless. Where's the tracking high value beastie thing? Where even is that? In general, right? Surely? Why can't I see it? Oh, find high value beasts. Ah, I wasn't even tracking high value beasts. Nuked. Can you resource proc the vitality? It'd be funny if you could. You can't resource proc a spark, so I'd imagine because it's a bind on pickup reagent, you can't. No, somebody crafted a few hundred on the beta to test. Lol. Always thinking. Oh, look, bleeds actually have a different debuff icon now. I hadn't noticed that before. Is that new? I tell you what, it's weird stepping out the flipping... Weird stepping outside of the city to actually play the game. We're going to have to do a lot more of that this week. I think we're genuinely going to have to focus a lot more on a bit playing the game. Far too much serious business last week. Far too much business. I have to make this clear now. I'll go stir crazy if I don't. Hands on the edge. Oh, ding! Not supposed to be leveling up this dude. I'm trying to take advantage of being, like, reasonably geared at low levels. Otherwise, I'm going to have to level him to 90 and actually gear him properly. Which is what I don't really want to do. Right, I need 3 more infused bonage. Ooh, high value beastie. So much twink gear earned from doing the skinning weeklies on alts. It's great. Oh yeah, because if you stay low enough level, you'll get like level 80 requirement gear, yeah. I do like Ret Paladins, you know. They're just like... They're just a storm of chaos. Or storm of light, technically. There we go. Mana infused bonage. Love to see it. Right, that was nice and quick. Wasn't there a dude down here, a high value dude somewhere? Did I actually skin him? Kill him? Must have done. Right, how many knowledge points we got now then? Are we a bit more perception when skinning beasties? Your chance to gather majestic materials from renowned beasts is increased. Well, that's next week's task then, clearly. Because that seems to be as far as we can go. 71 points about maximum then. Apparently. So it seemed to have acquired everything. So that'll mean next week it's possible to have both those nodes full. I should probably go kill the... I've killed the Eversong dude today. I should probably go kill the others. Why not? Whilst we're here. Majestic items are dropping quite fast. You mean the price? Oh, no, hang on. I've got 4 more knowledge points here. I mean, obviously they're getting more, you know, it's more popular now. People are setting up more characters. Boom. 5 points away. 5 points away from that one. What do I do with Moxie on Skinners? I've done something with it, clearly. Otherwise, where did it go? What do I do with a Moxie? Surely it can't just be the knowledge point books. It might be worth me getting some blue tools on this dude, actually, as well, to be fair. I wanted to invest in myself. Invest in our own well-being. Harandar and Grand Beastlaw. Oh, I'm out of Zulaman lures. Because they're expensive. Buy bags of loot. Yeah, I don't know what I've done with my Moxie on this. That said, without, without first-time crafts and that sort of stuff, there isn't actually that much Moxie to have been had, really, is there? But maybe buying the Abundance book. That was probably a bunch of Moxie. The Rep book. Yeah, I've probably spent... Yeah, okay. Maybe that makes sense. Never lucky. Let's go do the Void one. We got a Grand Beastler. Yeah. We do the Voidy one. My WoW's updating right now? Fixes? You sure it's just not updating from the build last night? Or have they pushed some in new? Doesn't look to be a new build. I'd say you're probably just updating from last night. You have unspent talent points? I'm saving it for a rainy day. I don't do the one in Harandar because he's level 90 and I'm not level 90. But I can do these 3 every day. Where's he? He's down here somewhere, isn't he? Save them for the last Titan, yeah, that's it. Where is it? Where's the debuff? One, debuff me. No debuff? I just place it anyway. Can't use that here. There we go. Where is he? There he is. There he is. Lock him up. Oh, he's stayed level 82, even though I've dinged. Wonder if the Dragonflight team will implement Season 2 profession stuff for level 90s. It's, yeah, it's maybe. I mean, we did get if this is going to be an expansion that follows in trend with Dragonflight, then maybe. We didn't get much. We didn't get much in the War Within, but we got some in at least in Dragonflight. This. Level 80 requirement. Not bad. Never lucky. Game hates me. Rigged. Fucking Dracothists again, yeah. I'd put my money on no, considering what they've done with this expansion's professions, minimum efforts, and broken. Well, there is, yeah, there is, it's clearly rushed, wasn't it? Clearly rushed. We'll see. Void fists. Oh god, puts the hairs up on my back, genuinely. Right, let's park this dude then. We've done a bit of skinning now. No luck on the Majestics. Herbing and mining done. Yeah, the turn-in for enchanting is a Dawn Crystal, which is funny. Rather this week than last week, though, right? And probably rather than next week either. To be fair, this is probably the best time to turn in a Dawn Crystal. Last week they were expensive. Next week there's a chance, I don't speculate on price, but there's a chance they'll be more expensive. Where'd you even get Dawn Crystals from? Well, you can still technically once again disenchant, what do you call them, Dark Moon trinkets, but, you know, that's not particularly cheap. It's about 4,000 gold a trinket right now, which is hence why the price of crystals are about 4,000 gold. Plus you've got that sprinkling of like M0 gear, but you know that doesn't really impact much. Wrong mount. Wrong mount. Right, mining herbalism. Oh, there was a lush tranquility bloom is meant to dish out knowledge points now, so we need to find one of those. Where am I going? Where's herbalism and mining? They're in the houses, aren't they? What do you want? Tranquility bloom, 5 argent leaf. Of course you do. Son of a. Mining going to be more friendly. 2 dazzlings. Who's reset the price on dazzlings then? Oh wait, shit! I'm 1 dazzling short. Oh god. Oh god, I'm late to this party. Odds on dazzling thorium being like 10 million gold. Oh no, we're fine. We good. Right, I need a lush tranquility bloom. Find me one of them. Oh, do I have books on me? Why do I not have books on me? Go grab those. My main goal maker has been disenchanting. Hopefully their value rises after the season starts. Believe it or not, I still think there's room for disenchanting to go down, not up. The Disenchanting is very heavily... well, you probably know this as well, but Disenchanting is very heavily tied to the price of Tranquility Bloom. So... what am I looking for? Books. Take 5 of them. Why would I not need them? My simple napkin math is that a piece of dust can basically be about as cheap as 1/3 of a Tranquility Bloom, which is wild that we've like got to that point already. But people have been running that process literally all week. Argent leaf. That's where there's money in argent leaf, isn't there? That fucking one that's bugged. Bugged argent leaf node. Nobody wants any of that. Right, let me I'm gonna put Zygor to the test. Argent leaf in Eversong Woods. Go. What route is it suggesting? Boom. That's just its generic herbing route. Right, it's fine. Is this one still bugged? Oh, Lush Tranquility Bloom. Knowledge point. No, because this node's bugged too. Fuck. Why are the ones near the city always bugged? Oh, flipping hell. Even the lumber can't be harvested. That tree's real broken. Okay. Oh, for flipping hell. Game hates me today, I swear. Dawn Crystal price in the EU's not moved much. The, like I said, that it's going to be... Dawn Crystals predominantly have got to be coming from... It's got to be from, trinkets, really, isn't it? That's got to be basically the only way that they're produced right now. So if the price of those doesn't change much... This is not your day. Yeah, I don't know why this Wednesday is starting to feel like a Monday. Not quite sure why. It started off badly when flipping Amlams got up at like 4 o'clock this morning complaining she needed to go out. I mean, Wednesday is a Monday for WoW players, yeah. Oh, come on. Who puts a herb in the middle of the sea? How's that growing? I don't want to go in the abundance cave again. No. The abundance cave, it feels a little bit like Epstein's Island, doesn't it? No, don't make me go. I don't want to get touched by the big man. Where's this shiny herb? There you are. Where's the wood? Show me the wood. Hello? Hello, wood? Oh, there she be, hiding. Funnily enough, I've been enjoying a lot of fishing recently. Good reason to do some fishing right now. Genuinely good reason to do fishing. Oh, I'm forgetting to use my overload. Did Blizzard Stealth remove all the treasures from Zulaman? Yeah, I did a little bit of that earlier. Hey, Argent Leaf, money. And a knowledge point. Oh, I've suddenly realised I don't think I've spent my knowledge points properly. Do we... I need to make a decision here, chat. I need to decide... Well, I need to put more points in this first. That needs finishing before we do that. I've got 25 herbalism points I haven't spent. I either need to save them, or I need to just dump them in here somewhere. There's two ways you could there's two ways you could approach this, isn't there? You either slam points into the shit that's expensive in order to get as much value out of the expensive stuff when you find it, or you slam your points in the cheap and abundant stuff. I'm thinking we go 40 points in Tranquility Bloom first, just by proxy of that more is always more. More is always more. If you're hitting up. But then, you know, I don't know. I don't care enough to min-max this. I'll put points in places and forget about it. Like I usually tell people with herbing and mining, best way to deal with it is just do more herbing and mining. Ooh, Lush Tranquility Bloom. Hey, I got the knowledge point for that as well. Finally. Finally, my tracker's clear. Three in the first three treasures, now half an hour to get the fourth? Oh no. Good luck always turns up. Shortly followed by bad luck, unfortunately. I was really hopeful that they'd like tweaked the drop rate on the treasures on the beta. But turns out Blizzard didn't agree because they seem to have fucked them pretty hard since the game's gone live. And you've always got that wombo combo of absolutely everybody trying to do it at the same time, which never helps. Where you need to be able to like shard yourself into some, you know, French RP realm or something. Hate the treasures. If I knew who was responsible, they'd at least take a nut slap. Well, I mean, we at least we don't have dragon shards of knowledge again. if we are to be thankful for something, considering how Dragonflight-esque this expansion is from a professions basis, I'm really kind of glad we don't have Dragon Shards of Knowledge again. Small mercies, yeah, literally. If we are to put a positive spin on things... Oh, why am I shit at catching these? Weekly treasures is more painful than abundance. I don't know. The abundance was genuinely making me fall asleep yesterday. And I really do not like the fact that it looks like they've tweaked it, so you basically have to do it in a raid group now. You know, that could not be further from the fix that crafters wanted. Genuinely couldn't be further from what people wanted. Ah, yes, this laggy mess that people have proactively been trying to avoid big raid groups for because it comes with the inherent risk of you not getting your points because it's so goddamn laggy. How about we make it so that you basically have to be in a raid group? Oh, Blizzard. Sometimes I wonder who they're listening to. Where do they get their feedback from? What fucking donut told them that, you know what would be fun? Make it so you have to do it in a raid group. Oh, I'm probably not even going to bother with epic tools on my main crafters, you know. I genuinely... The co-pilot, yeah. Yeah, ChatGPT's in charge these days. All makes sense. We're not getting that one, are we? How are we doing on these weekly points? Did better on skinning, to be fair. I've still got flipping cat. Is that new catch-up for the week? How can that be possible? Not going to go that way. Am I shooting myself in the foot if I equip my concentration crafters with blue equipment? I would say that you're taking a pretty sizable risk, although if you are still making enough gold from concentration to cover the cost of them, there's no reason not to. As, you know, an advantage is an advantage at the end of the day. But what I would say is that most blue profession tools and accessories are, at least if you're buying them at any given reasonable quantity, you're looking at like 15 to 20k a piece right now, I think, for each one. So I wouldn't be spending 40k on blue tools for concentration crafters. But if you've already somehow magically made 40k with them and are willing to reinvest that into potentially more profit later, then your shout. I wouldn't be doing it though. Would not be my recommendation. Because from what I can gather, concentration for the most part is a limited window of opportunity system, this expansion. Way more so than ever. It's not... I don't think it's going to be... I don't think it's as much of it will just go from like 15 gold per concentration down to 5 gold. I think we'll be in like silvers. Look what's happened with Enchanting, for example. If you're making gold with concentration right now, I would probably take the golden run rather than looking at reinvesting more. When I put, like, I made some very simple basic concentration builds for part of the Goblin Guide to Midnight, because even though I don't believe concentration is going to last very long, I know, people wanted them. The way I structured them was having like a very basic, ultimately cheapest of cheap kind of way of crafting them, setting them up, getting them put together. Like, so cheap, in fact, that I wasn't even recommending people buy the green profession tools. Simply because you could spend 6,000 gold on a set of green profession gear, which is, you start 6,000 gold in the red. You wanted to try and make sure that you're profitable as soon as you physically can be. And then if you want to reinvest more, you can, but take it sort of week by week would be my recommendation. Where's the herb? What do we see as potential conch professions? Vantis runes, flasks, or are we looking at daily crafts? Well, the targets are still basically the same, but the combination of only 2 qualities of crafted goods and 2 qualities of materials is not really lending itself very nicely to big profit margins long term in concentration. The places where it still works is places where crafters can't mass produce at top quality anyway. So like right now, tailoring with their, what's it called? Imbued bright linen bolts. Concentration works pretty well on them because the only way you can physically make them right now is with concentration. So whilst there is both a demand for them in some part, and the only way to make them is via concentration, sure, of course that works. But as soon as tailors get themselves enough knowledge points to be able to start mass producing those things, they will crash so hard. So that's, probably still a week or 2 away, to be fair, because tailoring's a bit cooked for knowledge. But other options where you see the ability for crafters to be able to mass produce something now, I've already seen margins squeezed, even on the high quality stuff. Then you have the issue that most consumables are using way less materials, full stop. So your standard candidates, flasks, Vantis runes, this sort of stuff, like, there isn't really that many materials. When there's not that many materials going into them, there's not many places for you to gain an advantage by using cheaper materials. The multiplier, I guess, is the best way to describe it. It's not very high. That's why Enchanting did really well in the War Within, was because it needed like 50 to 70 materials sometimes just to press the button once. And, if there was a 10 gold difference on 50 items, all of a sudden that, that adds up to be quite a lot of gold. And so concentration was pretty valuable. But when the difference between normal quality and high quality is like 2 gold, and you have less of a multiplier, nobody really wants to log in twice a week to make 100 gold, do they? Like, this is the problem. Not to mention the cost of setting up the professions to begin with. Tailoring's good. Like, at the moment, tailoring is still pretty strong. Like I said, it's mostly based upon the fact that the knowledge point trees for tailoring are just absolutely dog do. And that there's a lot that just physically can't be done yet. Weirdly, some of the leveling gear was almost impossible to get at quality 5. Or it could only be produced at quality 5 with concentration. That's like basic level 90 leveling gear as well. They've hotfixed that today, apparently, to make them easier to craft. Why could somebody not craft rank 2 enchants endlessly? If there's barely any difference between the number of items needed, you cannot make it much cheaper. Well, like I said, hence why concentration with enchanting is not doing great, because you can mass produce them. Moats and what they call moats and roots are going to become more of a bottleneck, I think, in regards to crafting cost for things like enchants than the basic materials. And I think there's enough knowledge points out there now. I've not looked at enchanting today, but I'm pretty sure there's enough knowledge points out there to maybe not cost effectively, not not with a full proper stack of resourcefulness, but I think you can mass produce most enchants at top quality now if you've put your points purely in skill. So I'd expect a bit of a crash in the price of most enchants today as well, if that's the case. Because it will no longer be they only exist with concentration. Ooh, a seed. I'm out of coffee. Am I prospecting? Simulated with BIS stats and purple tools, it's still a loss. No, I've not done much prospecting at all. For the simple understanding of that fucking nobody wants gems. Why am I wasting time prospecting? Nobody wants gems, really. Those that do want gems are mostly wanting the basic ones for like leveling and stuff like that. I need to be more constructive about this, and I need to maybe put it in like short form video content. The milling, prospecting, recycling, these are utility builds. In the War Within, because of the shuffle, you could take a utility build and just run it. Additionally, there was a natural balancer in place called thaumaturgy. So both, two things could happen, right? The first thing that could happen is that if you did a shuffle, you could actually push ahead of quite a lot of the competition by enough that meant that you could just run a utility build such as milling or unraveling or prospecting. You could run one of those builds almost infinitely and still be generating a profit simply because most other people couldn't get anywhere near the stats that you had. That's been normalized in Midnight, though. It's been normalized so any fool can level up their profession and anybody can buy some rank 5 profession tools off the auction house. Anybody can slap on an enchant to them. Anybody can get BIS build now. So you have to differentiate yourself by being smarter. Having the tool is not good enough anymore. And this is one of the things we see often from one expansion to another, that the meta moves forward, that you just have to get clever about it. Just having a fully BIS build prospector will not be enough to make you any profit. The way you make profit now is twofold. You, one, have to focus on getting your materials cheaper because you've got no other edge. The edge you need to take and the thing you need to focus on is getting your ore. We'll use prospecting as an example. You absolutely have to be getting your ore at the best possible price. You can't day trade this shit anymore. There's no point having a spreadsheet and day trading on things like milling or on recycling or on prospecting because it's just not going to work. because everybody else is also going to be using the same calculators, the same spreadsheets. They're all going to come to the same conclusion. And the very second that box turns green, fucking everybody jumps on it, pounced on it. The only way that you're going to be able to see or to spin a win with these utility builds these days, get your materials cheaper than your competition. Study what the price of materials is doing and decide for yourself, and this is where the skill's going to come into it, decide for yourself at what point you want to buy materials. And don't break that rule. You know, if you look at ore, for example, we'll do a case study. Cheeky little case study. Right, let's do it. Let me show you exactly what you need to be doing. If you want to be doing prospecting and you want to look at ore, we go reagents, we go metal and stone. Let's go current expansion only. Let's just focus on the normal quality stuff because it's easier maths. At the moment, Umbreal Tin, 40 gold. Brilliant Silver, 40 gold. We've got Copper at 37. And you can ignore Dazzling Thorium because nobody cares. What you need to do is figure out exactly when is 40 gold a competitive price. How do we do that? We open the Undermine Exchange and we go reagents, metal and stone, midnight expansion. And we look on here and we say, right, Umbreal Tin, what we got going on here then? You look at this heat map. This heat map is literally your Bible. This is your Bible because this heat map shows you exactly what the price or the snapshotted price, the snapshotted minimum price for every hour of the day, every day of the week. So you've got 168 points of reference here. 168 points of reference to when the ore has been priced at what. So we know right now ore is about 40 gold a piece. But the reality is you can't buy much at 40 gold, right? If you actually want to buy enough to do any prospecting, you're probably looking at buying, there's a big stack of it here. You could buy 30,000 ore, 42 gold a piece. Is 42 gold a competitive price? Is it a competitive price? Has there been better prices than 42 gold? And more importantly, recently. You want to look at recently. So you can see here, actually, for a lot of yesterday, 42 gold is definitely not competitive. It's close, but quite frequently the price of ore it started with a 3, meaning if you buy your ore today at 42 gold, you're going to lose. You're straight up not going to make profit because you'll have the same tool as everybody else, which is the BIS Jewel Crafter, the BIS Prospector, but you'll have paid 3 gold more potentially for your ore. So you lose. You don't win. This is why you can't day trade. You can look historically and you can see that, well, 40 gold is a pretty good ballpark price to shoot for. But it means you want to be getting your ore below that price. And anytime you spot it below that, it's relatively safe to jump in on. But of course, the markets do change. When the season opens next week, do we think ore is going to stay at this sort of price? This is why this is your Bible. Pay attention to this. The second thing you need to do, that's the first thing, you got to make sure you absolutely get your materials at the cheapest possible price. I, for reference, would not be buying ore to prospect it right now. It's too expensive. It's about 3 gold. It's about 3 gold more expensive than I would want to pay. You'd want to pay less than 40, preferably for tin, to have any success of prospecting it and then selling the results at a profit. The next thing you need to do is you need to actually look at the price of the gems. And people have to learn this. This is the way to actually make gold in this expansion. People need to learn that selling at the cheapest possible price is not necessary. Genuinely not necessary. The way to the way to sell these gems if you get a bunch of these, sanguine garnets, for example, you could do some prospecting and slam them all in at 342 gold and 98 silver. And you know what will happen? You'll lose gold. Because what you really need to be doing is probably posting them at like 350 plus. 360, 370, maybe even 380 gold. You want to be posting yours much, much further down here. About 20% on top of whatever the cheapest price is. So you're looking at about a 60 gold markup. If I was doing prospecting today, I'd be listing my gems at like 400 gold. And then walk away. Genuinely walk away. I don't know how else to explain this, but don't be doing fucking cancel scanning. Walk away. Put them on the auction house, walk away, forget about them. In 48 hours, you'll come back and you'll be amazed how many of them will have sold. You'll be amazed how many of them will have sold. You really, really, really do not need to permanently be posting everything at the absolute cheapest rock bottom price. As long as you focus on getting your materials at the best price and you have the best build, you have every advantage you can get your hands on. But in all honesty, even 40 gold is a bit risky at the moment, because when you go back a few days, you can see that, well, actually, there's a bit of a pattern here that during the middle of the night, past midnight, the price of ore seems to dip. Now, this isn't particularly helpful for a lot of you, but it kind of means that the best time to buy your ore is 5 a.m. in the morning, according to this. At 5 a.m. in the morning, although you got to be careful that the time zones is the same as what yours is, right? I would be buying my ore, or the best time for me to buy my ore is about 4 hours ago. And historically, I can get my ore at the best possible price 4 hours ago. But if I log on at 6 o'clock in the evening, or any time past midday, really, the price of the ore is going to be about 10-15% more expensive than it was at another time during the day. So this is your Bible. The only way you're going to spin a profit with these utility builds is if you buy your ore at or buy your materials at the absolute rock bottom prices. Turning up to the auction house, paying the auction house price, and then expecting to spin a profit just isn't going to happen anymore. It genuinely isn't. It's just not going to happen. You don't need spreadsheets. You don't need, you don't need like too many tools. You don't need too many add-ons to do all of this. You just got to understand the basics. Get your mats cheaper, and then be more savvy about how you sell shit. And don't spend so much gold that you get, like financially or emotionally invested in it. If spending 100,000 gold on ore is a problem to you, don't do it. Genuinely, don't do it. If somebody took 100,000 gold out of your, character's back pockets, if you'd even notice it, that's probably too much gold for you to be spending on something like that. Because when margins are like single digits, when a margin is single digits, a 10% swing in the material price can completely screw you. And that's what people don't seem to realize. People seem to think that the price of something is always the price that it is, but it's really not. Look how much the price on just over, a relatively stable material like ore has a swing of about 35 gold to about 45 gold. That's a 10 gold difference depending on when you buy your ore during the day. And if you buy at the wrong time, you're potentially 30% more expensive than somebody buys at the right time. And there isn't 30% margin in doing any of this, ever. There's like 10% if you're really lucky. So you can't afford to be paying top whack for your ore and then somehow magically thinking that your best build prospector is going to just magically spin a profit. It just doesn't work like that anymore. The game's too figured out. Everybody, you'll get outpaced by people that already know this and already doing this. That's the thing. That's what I'm kind of trying to get across here. You've got to think a little bit more outside the box. You've got to think, what is the extra thing I'm doing that other people are probably not doing? You share this knowledge widely, then nothing's going to be profitable anymore. Well, people do learn over time, and this is why people have to get smarter. You got to remember, back in WoW's early days, the meta for gold making was put it on the auction house. Stop vendoring it and put it on the auction house. Believe it or not, that was a 10,000 view video once upon a time. How to make 10,000 gold a day in TBC Outlands. Stop vendoring all of your shit and put it on the auction house. That was literally the meta. And then before that, it was pick up stuff. You know? Loot the mobs. They have things on them. We've moved on a little bit since those days, though. The meta was running Scarlet Monastery as a prop paladin. Bob's way of pulling. Was indeed. I think WoW Hobbs is pretty exclusively a Hearthstone streamer these days. Back in TBC, I made my epic Mount Gold just by dueling outside Orgrimmar, my Fel Druid. Nice. I imagine then over the years you've probably watched your fair amount of soda popping streams then. Yeah, Crusader enchant. Skull Flame Shield. Still one of the best transmogs in the game, by the way. I'm completely forgetting to use my overload. I'm just trying to hit as many nodes as possible for the knowledge points. There's another one. Getting there. You started catching him on the WoW Classic OnlyFans stuff? Oh, I see. I mean, back in the day, soda popping was like the feral content creator. What was that? What was that guild in? What was that NA guild called of all the PvPers? And with D, I think. I can't remember. Interesting. What about crushing best ore? Oh, same scenario. It's a utility thing, isn't it? Like it's one of those utility builds. The advantage for setting up these utility builds, by the way, even like if you can get past the expectation of them being like money printers by themselves, the advantage they offer you long term is if you can get them set up right now and you can spin them for a little bit to at least cover the cost of setting them up, they become a very useful tool to have later in the expansion. One thing that became very common in the War Within it was definitely a thing in, it's been a thing forever, basically. It's just not had anywhere near as much focus on it simply because it's not been necessary before. But vertical integration, the concept of bringing in-house as much of the processing as possible. So let's say, for example, you want to do well at alchemy these days. Well, once upon a time, alchemy, your potions and flasks were... You were only selling them to the people on your server. So once upon a time, your server mattered. Being on a server with a big raiding scene was going to give you more success with selling potions and flasks than if you're on some, dead ass realm with nobody on it. But with a region-wide auction house now, you can pretty much guarantee that any day of the week, potions and flasks are going to fly off the shelves. Some days more so than others, but you can't now just... It's, once again, now not good enough to just have the right knowledge points and the right tools in your alchemist, with your alchemy. So, going into Season 1 for Midnight, flasks are way easier. Way, 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 way easier. You need far less knowledge points to min-max flasks, for example. Now, this will mean that your alchemist, the tool... For you to be able to craft flasks is you're gonna be on an equal standing to everybody else that wants to make millions with flasks. So actually, one clever thing you can do is use vertical integration to your advantage, which is prospecting ore to generate glass to then efficiently produce the vials that you need. The reason this works is because it means you're not buying the vials off somebody else. If you buy vials off somebody else, they're not doing it for free. They're making margin on selling you the vials in the first place. At least you would hope they would be. In theory, they should be. Certainly if you're buying them in any quantity, you'll probably buy out at them at a price where somebody is making profit on that. The concept of vertical integration is you then bring in-house that processing, and instead of buying your flasks from somebody else, you produce them for the same, if not cheaper price. And on top of that, it saves you the auction house cut. Because the auction house takes its cheeky 5% every time. Now, when the auction house is taking its 5% cut, that means if you buy something off somebody else, not only are you paying 5% more by default, but you're paying them their profit on top. Meaning the reality is you're probably saving about 10% of the cost by doing it yourself. And this stacks up, right? We already know that there's often not 10% profit in selling things in the first place. If you can save 10%, you put yourself in a real good situation. So for Season 1, if you want to do well with potions or you want to do well with flasks, you need to get a jewel crafter set up that's efficient at prospecting. You probably want some way to, you're doing that for the purpose of getting the glass. What you also want to do is have something set up so that you have some use for the other materials, or at least, have an out for the other materials. Then you need probably another jewel crafter in order to make the vials. So you've got two supplementary utility builds just to be able to craft potions at a competitive price. And so in a week or two's time, when everybody complains that they bought herbs, why is the price of a potion less than the cost of the herbs? You can explain to them, and you can ask them the very simple question, well, how's your prospector looking? And when they turn around and say, what prospector? You'll be like, that's why you're not making any gold with flasks then. That means you're giving all of your profit to somebody else. Really struggling on the mining nodes, apparently. Are we just not hitting as many mining nodes? That's probably the case, isn't it? Right now, I'm funneling health potion crafts in with a jewel crafter doing the rank... Jewel crafting doing rank 1 vials. I'm getting nice profit. the process works, but it's steady gold. is rank 1? Hang on, is rank 1 glass allowing you to produce rank 1 vials cheaper than what they are sold from the vendors now already? Oh, wow. I kind of hadn't assumed that we'd got to that point yet. With multicraft? Okay, nice. Ah! Where'd that node go? Vanished. Now, if all of this sounds far too much like hard work, I understand. This is what crafting is these days, though. Crafting is the concept of like it's funny because there's a lot of similarities to like if you've ever played Factorio or Satisfactory or something like that. For years now with gold making, I've been talking about like setting up the factory, and it's only more true today than it has ever been. You know, you need a jewel crafter that can do some prospecting for you. You need another jewel crafter that can then crush the gems effectively for you to get the gem dust. You then need a third jewel crafter in order to craft vials, so you can send them off to your alchemist. You probably then want a fourth jewel crafter so that you can then get a selection of cuts going. And if you really want to optimize, you might need multiple crafters to do the cuts even. You could easily run 10 jewel crafters just to try, you know, one prospector providing all of the raw materials efficiently, a second one, you know, a couple for the intermediates, and then 3 or 4 on top of that, just purely for the end products. My issue with crafting these days, though, is it's devolved into this AFK simulator again, though. My enjoyment historically of crafting was that you could be smarter with it in order to be able to come in, focus on getting your materials at a cheap price, craft up a whole bunch of stuff quickly and easily, put it on the auction house and walk away. Crafting used to be something... Nobody ever used to talk about gold per hour when it came to crafting, by the way. This is only a phenomenon that's really kicked in the last few years. Nobody used to talk about gold per hour rates with crafting because it just wasn't a thing. It just wasn't a thing. But the region-wide auction house has kind of taught people, and it's kind of created this Walmart scenario where players feel as if the only way to spin any value out of the systems at all is to treat it like Walmart, where you stack it high and sell it cheap. But not everybody, you know, you can't have a whole city full of Walmarts. Oh, hello, druids. Multi-box druids. You can't have an entire city full of Walmarts, which is why the ones that work the smartest get the profits and everybody else loses. And simplification of the system even further is only pushing us to that ultimatum. You know, it's only pushing us to that ultimate end goal quicker. I knew it would happen fast, but it's happening at lightning speed. Actually, lightning speed. We are racing to the bottom so goddamn fast in this expansion. It's wild to see. The engineering disenchanting shuffle, everybody their mum's doing it at the moment. Well, for a lot of people, it produces 10, 15,000 gold an hour, and they're happy with that. Like, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna piss on anybody's chips if they're happy doing that. And for a lot of people, they are content with doing that because A, they're not really avid goal makers particularly. They're more what I would refer to as like a fair weather, goal maker. They turn up and they make a bit of gold when their activity of choice isn't about, right? So when the Mythic Plus season hasn't opened yet, when the raid's not opened, they'll happily sit there on an engineer, chatting with mates in Discord or waiting for a dungeon queue to pop or something, crafting a few, doing a bit of recycling, doing a bit of disenchanting, and by the end of the day, they've made 100k and they're happy about it. I'm never going to say that people shouldn't be doing that, but to a lot of us, that is absolutely ludicrous to be doing. And you also know for sure that a lot of those players will very quickly stop doing that as soon as the season launches as well. Yeah, it's caused a... It's funny. Abundance is a word that is quite heavily used in my vocabulary normally. Now that it is a feature in the game that I'm already starting to loathe, I'm going to have to replace that word with another one, aren't I? Gonna have to change my vocabulary because Blizzard added a stupid Zergfest game. Right, where's me shiny nodule? Plethora. Oh, there's a good one. Sounds a bit too much like placenta, but yeah. There's anything wrong with that, ladies? A lot. Yeah, true. Maybe I should just narrow my vocabulary. The obvious solution to the abundance minigame issue was to just make it as irrelevant as possible. I do wonder what the long tail of it is gonna be. I mean I can't say that I'm overly excited by their clear tweak to it to basically make it mandatory to do in a raid. I already wanted it to go in the other direction to that. I was all for them sort of like instancing it and making it a solo minigame. Something that, didn't necessarily... I mean, they could even go as far as normalizing people's gear in there to keep it purely skill-based. Or here's a crazy idea. Fused vitality on the auction house, please, Blizzard. Let me just buy my way through it and not have to piss around with it because it's gross. Let people who enjoy the Zergfest do Zerg things. Yeah, there we go. I found my solution. Used vitality, bind on equip, please, Blizzard. Do whatever the fuck you want with abundance, but please don't make me have to do that. You made the blue tools bind on equip, so how about we go one step further? What's the website where you check the auction house history again? Undermine Exchange is a very good one. I mean, there's a few places do a similar thing, but A lot of trees in this zone. I found. Oh, I'm in the middle of one. Oh, what? Disappeared. To be honest with myself, I'm not smart enough to do the math and set up 8 tunes in Dawn Crafting to make a 10% profit, but I am good at gathering lumber, herbs, and ore and mogs to make money with that. And at the end of the day, you know, you do what you enjoy. It is a video game. Like I said, when the fun stops, flipping stop. Like, honestly. Oh, I've just realised. Not only am I in need of my main knowledge point item for mining, I'm also 5 knowledge points behind. Big slack. I'm meant to be trying to keep up with this, because if you can get the weekly points properly, the catch-up is usually slower. Maybe I'm just going to zerg mining nodes for 10 minutes and all the rest. Flipping hell. The only thing I would say at the moment, which is quite nice about herbing and mining, the only slight advantage I see to having moats being like worth basically nothing right now, is that at least it gives you the choice of which zone you want to farm in. It's not going to be long before I think one moat will start rising above the others in terms of price, and will start to dictate where farmers want to go do, you know, they'll kind of all be forced to go to the zone where the moats are worth the most. Don't have to worry about that too much right now. I've not done like proper analysis on this really. It's are some zones like genuinely better for some herbs than others, for example? I'm sure there's like clusters of certain herbs in certain areas, isn't there? There usually is. My sort of aimless just wandering around just picking stuff up randomly is never a good way of doing it. Another, you know, reason why I'm probably only making 20k an hour doing this. Got to use your brain. Got to be smart. Find yourself an optimal route. What's my herber at? How many points? All my, you know, all apart from 2, whatever that equates to. 40, 50, 67. Oh, 40, 80. Was that 107? 107, 108, 109 is apparently the cap at the moment. Hey, there we go. There's our epic one. And let's see if we can snag a few catch-up points quick time. Might change the scenery. Actually, might go Void Storm. A lot of elevation in Void Storm, but it's weirdly less taxing on the brain. I've gone from 35 alts to just 5 this expansion. I'm going to rethink how I play the game. The alt army approach is a very, you need a very specific sort of play style. Like, you've got to be... Some players are clearly more suited to it than others. I mean, it's an MMO at the end of the day, so there's always going to be some grind. If you enjoy the grind, if you actually embrace the grind, doing the same thing multiple times on a huge amount of alts is, that's probably your jam. No problem with that. But if you're less inclined to enjoy that, in fact, I want copper. I think the route's the same. You're less inclined to do the same thing many, many, many times over. You're better at you're probably better focusing narrow rather than super wide. It's just kind of quite difficult to avoid the fact that alt armies are very useful. Because often you'll find that there's little snippets of things in the game that are very lucrative to do, but only in very short blasts. I mean, this is literally the definition of concentration, isn't it? Once every 4 days, you can make a few thousand gold. GG. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a catch-up point. You can make a few thousand gold every... Oh, actually, I've just realised. I have a bunch of knowledge points in my bags. 109 is not the cap. What actually is the cap? Are you shitting me? I'm going to be 2 points short. I'm going to be 2 points short. 40, 80, 118 points is the cap, and I'm going to be 2 points short. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Earlier we were talking about not posting at the lowest possible price. Wouldn't that only work on high volume items? No. No. There's about a 20% variancy in the price of anything on a day, across a 24-hour period. Now, obviously, it's slightly different if the market price on that thing is absolutely cratering. It's absolutely tanking due to some sort of new influx or change in the game, such as petrified roots today, for example, right? Petrified roots are now being spat out of the artisan goodie bag thingies, whatever they're called. For that reason alone, petrified roots are gonna like absolutely crash in price today, because everybody will do a whole bunch of patron orders, and we'll flood the market with them all of a sudden. But on an item that is relatively stable in price, is why I looked at ore earlier. The tin and the copper ore, sorry, the tin and the silver ore has been pretty consistently priced now for most of the game at this point. 35 to 45 gold seems to be where it lives at. But across a 24-hour period, it might bounce from those two extremes. So if you understand this, let's say you're out farming ore right now, if you're doing herbing and mining like I am, you don't need to go to the auction house and post your farmed items at the cheapest possible price. If you know that it sometimes creeps up to like 45 gold in a day, just post them for 48 hours at 45 gold or 44 gold and walk the fuck away. Like, leave them. Go do something else. Don't sit there trying to cancel scan shit. People lose so... Like, cancel scanning is one of these things that has this... It's a weird double-edged blade that it gives you the ability to sell your stuff, and in that regard removes risk. So I see why it's very, very popular to do. It removes risk. It removes the risk of you not selling something completely. But at the same time, people often end up cancel scanning themselves into like negative margin. That they will put more effort in to make a loss, which is bonkers. The lag out here is actually gross right now. I bet the event's on, isn't it? Gonna come to Voidstorm. In some ways, it actually works better on rarer stuff, as markets can then be bought out and reset. True. Yeah, there's high quality materials, I think, are going to be a fun one, because with no thaumaturgy this time round, the possibility for market resets is actually ludicrous. So on the, on the scarcer, more rarer things, your petrified roots, for example, high quality argent leaf, your still expensive stuff. A market reset has the ability to hold its value for a lot longer right now. And that means if you were just casually selling that stuff, if you come in and you post your high quality copper ore at whatever the absolute rock bottom minimum price is, you'll sell it within about 4 minutes. But what's the point in selling it for? Do you need that gold in 4 minutes time? You could sell it for 10% more if you posted it for 48 hours and walked away. Okay, we need to get out of here. This zone is actually dead. Oh, I can barely move. Me flying buttons don't work. Say there's only 3 decor items up. One is cheap, one is normal, one is high. You can assume the cheap one gets snapped up, and then there's a good chance that the normal one gets bought, and then your high-priced one is first in line. Somebody comes in, needs one, doesn't then know the normal price, and you make 300% profit. Yeah. Yeah. It's clearly a hard concept for people to like grasp and truly understand. But as soon as it clicks, soon as something, soon as you... Fun fact, I was talking to Sapyu. He's the guy who... Sapyu is the lead dev on TSM. I was talking to Sapyu a week or 2 ago, and we were discussing how they can implement something to prevent people from getting caught out by like bait auctions. And this discussion ended up going along the lines of, is there maybe another way that Trade School Master can look at pricing things? Because at the moment it's a price bracketing system. So you have a high and you have a minimum price and you have a maximum price. That's how TSM works. And if the current price falls within your range, it's like thumbs up, push it out, it goes. We were discussing whether there's a way for TSM to maybe consider the quantity of items listed when it comes to where you post your auctions. So, for example, knowing that prices tend to fluctuate 10 to 20% across a day anyway, if we look at something like, let's just pick a herb. If we just pick, I don't know, let's pick something like argent leaf, because it's kind of quite expensive, the higher quality argent leaf. If you know that a reasonable amount of this sells every day, and you also know that not too much of it is ever going to, hit the auction house, even TSM seems to indicate right now that about 17,000 argent leaf at high quality sells. That's the regional average daily sold. Now, take this number with a pinch of salt. But, if you know that 17,000 of it sell a day, if you've got a bunch of this in your bags, where do you think you should post it on the auction house right now? Well, look at the amount of listings that are all 113,000 gold. Most people, quite rightly, are going to come to the auction house with their high quality Argent Leaf and they're just going to slam it in here. They're not going to think anything else of it. But actually, there's a very strong chance that if you went like 10,000 deep, 15,000 deep, you could easily sell yours at sort of 126 gold. I bet these will sell by the end of the day. And this is why you see these big stacks, because this is other people that already know this and already do exactly this. There's a big wall of it at about 130. Basically meaning, if you were selling this right now, if you'd gone and done a bunch of farming, you could either put it on the auction house for 130 gold with a very, very strong chance that it will still sell within 48 hours. Or you could slam it on the auction house for 113 gold and sell it before you can finish blinking. The reality is 99% of the player base go for the second option, which is I just want to make the sale now. Now, this doesn't matter so much when you've farmed your materials per se, but where it matters way more is where you're crafting an item, an intermediate item, where you have a cost to consider, right? People don't value their time at all. But if you have a cost to consider, you know there's a point where you don't want to go below. So if you're then trying to sell out an intermediate item, if you're trying to mass produce and sell imbued bright linen bolts right now, for example, I don't know what the maths is on this, but I would imagine if you come in and you sell them at like 39 gold a piece, you're probably breaking even on the crafting cost at best. You would want to sell them for like 40, 45, even 50 gold a piece. But at the moment, I can tell you for a fact that when there's only about 30,000 selling a day and there's 150,000 already on the auction house, this is saturated as fuck. This market ain't going nowhere because everybody has been running a tailor just in the background, mass producing these things for flipping ages. And so that is actually a market where if you look at it for more than 4 seconds, you quite quickly realize that I ain't going there. I ain't going there. I'll leave that one alone. When the math don't math, you step back and you leave it alone. And you can see the same thing with dust right now, for example. 470,000 ever singing dust, 341,000 at high quality. I wouldn't be going anywhere near this right now with this kind of quantity knocking about. Dawn crystals, on the other hand, there's only 1,000 of each one. Damn. That's a grand total of like 500 enchants. This one's going to be spicy. This one's going to be spicy. That's like 500 enchants. It might amuses me that the tier 2 supply outpaces the tier 1 supply. Well, this is where Blizzard didn't balance. They made the significant change to drop down to 2 qualities, but really didn't put anywhere near enough consideration into what it should take to produce each of those qualities. What they've basically done is they've basically just shaved off quality 3 for everything. And so for processing now, you're basically getting... I genuinely think disenchanters are actually almost getting more high quality stuff than they're getting low quality stuff. Which is just... Why would Blizzard ever want to create a scenario where there's a greater volume of high quality stuff than normal quality stuff? But who knows? I think in TSM, having a metric that showed current supply versus the sold per day would be useful to see how vulnerable or overstocked a market is. Yeah. Yeah, we've got the they've implemented the little up and down arrows for like the market trend and stuff now, but that's another somewhat useful metric to have, because there's some markets where they are hyper saturated right now. But the thing is, most players ignore all of this. This is the reality, right? Most players ignore all of it. I've been doing the Disenchanting Shuffle. I'm at 60 skill, but I'm still getting 60-40 tier 2 to tier 1 mats from it. Yeah, imagine if you'd actually pushed it to 100 skill. That extra 40 would be would be crazy. TSM daily average sold makes no sense. The imbued, which were at a 300k supply yesterday, broke at. Oh, like I said, this is it's a data point. It's an indicator. It's not, you know. I would say that the region daily average sold is better used for comparison between items than it is to be taken as like a gospel number. An indication here that Ever Singing Dust is selling 100,000 gold a day, whereas you compare that to shards, which are selling 57,000 gold a day, would indicate that there's about twice as much dust selling as shards are selling, for example, is probably what you should be using that statistic for, more than, oh, this is a fight. This is exactly how much actually does sell. But I don't know. I don't actually know how TSM puts these region average daily. So I have a sneaky suspicion as well, by the way, that these numbers are like still calculated based upon pre region wide auction house numbers. Because I actually think that the volume of materials flowing through the auction house right now is vastly higher than what those numbers are showing, but I don't know how they're worked out. This was from the beta full disenchant build on a blood elf. So what we got here, we got Q1, Q2 on the Storm Dust, 70% Q2. Fuck me. Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. 70% of the supply from Disenchanting is going to be of quality 2. That's actually cracked. Oof. Spicy meatball. Spicy indeed. Saddlebag shows the TSM number, but 10x. The value description talks about divided per realm or something. Well, yeah, it probably is. It could, like I said, it's probably a weighted average. It's probably a weighted average rather than just a flat average. I mean, there's 80 realms. You can't multiply it by 80, but it's probably weighted more towards the higher pop servers. It's probably an 80-20 weighted average or something. To say if you play on one of the bigger servers, there's probably this amount selling per day. I don't even know. Like I said, it's an indicator. It's not like be taken as fact. I'm pretty sure that's the case, since you can sell like 3 times the amount of the region daily sold of a certain material. Yeah, there's also things like, I don't know exactly how. TSM's very clever in terms of the fact that it can, even if it doesn't see a sale, for example, it can. TSM's very clever in terms of that it can figure out what is like an expired auction or a repost or an actual sale. It can somewhat guesstimate some of that. But of course, yeah, they're all just indicators to use. I literally found 4 220 BOEs before I got my 4th weekly knowledge point from the chests. Well, at least you got it. At least you got it. Fair play. TSM sales just counting the ones registered by TSM, so the actual value is always much bigger. Like I said, they're clever these days. They can, when it comes to things like sale rate, They don't need. They can. They can infer data from further than just the data that they see, because of obviously they track everything that's going on the auction house, and so they can quite often see that, okay, well, there was this amount of stuff sold, but this amount of stuff listed. Well, these items, these were potentially like resales, or these were, they can they can figure out what's an expired auction, for example. I don't know the ins and outs of exactly how it works, but I've seen a little bit of it, and it's quite clever. But boys and girls, I'm gonna leave it there for now. I'm really hungry. I need some food. Ranthius has sucked a bunch of energy out of me. I might throw the stream up a little bit later, or I might take the evening to actually try and finish the TSM profile. Maybe, possibly. I haven't decided. But boys and girls, if you're pumping today, have fun, enjoy it. Try not to get too distracted by other people being dum-dums in the game. Try and ignore the fact that people do stupid things, and yeah, enjoy it. And you share the food. I don't even know what I'm gonna eat. Actually, I need to go raid the fridge. But boys and girls, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one. Peace.